Thank you so very much again, Mr. Lai, for having this interview with the Voice of America. We know President Trump said that he's going to raise your father's case during his upcoming trip to China, and when he will be meeting with Xi Jinping. What does this comment mean to you and your family right now?
Oh, it means the world. My father's been in there for the last 5 years. We know that the president cares about my father's case. We know that the president, if anybody can free him and save his life, it will be the president. So it's given us a lot of hope. I hope that Xi Jinping hears his request and does the right thing and frees my father before my father passes away in prison.
What would you want President Trump to say directly to President Xi Jinping on your father's case? If you can, making suggestions for him to say directly to Xi Jinping.
Yeah, obviously, first of all,
when they
I'd
meet.
like to thank President Trump. From the bottom of my heart, I know I'm so incredibly grateful for his commitment to my father. I think if he, what he can say, and obviously I don't want to put words in the president of the United States' mouth, is I think is the reality is that there's no upside in having Jimmy Lai die in prison. They've ruined his health, put him in solitary confinement for the last 5 years, taken everything away from him. He's a symbol of
Yes.
freedom around the world for many people, and it'll be incredibly damaging for both the Hong Kong legal system and Chinese legal system and his reputation if they kill this man and turn him into a martyr. So for a good relationship, bilateral relationship with the US and indeed many other countries that want him free, for both China and Hong Kong's reputation, for the rule of law, freeing this man is a very easy and simple thing to do. It's well within the power of Chairman Xi. It'll take him 2 hours to put my father on a plane and send him away. And I hope that he sees this act of mercy, because it is an act of mercy, and as a way to foster warmer relationships with the US and other countries that want him freed.
Yes, you just mentioned that your father become a symbol. I think indeed he's now a symbol of not only the press freedom, but also the tensions between Washington and Beijing. Especially May 3rd is the World Press Freedom Day, just passed, on Sunday. So I would just say to everyone, in our platform, that your father is become a symbol of not only the press freedom, but also the tension between Washington and Beijing. The importance of his case.
Yeah, of course. I still remember when my father first started Apple Daily. People were very dismissive because of he escaped from China when he was very young. And only had a 5th grade education, so people told him stay in your factories. You don't belong in this space of journalism. But my father fell in love with the power of truth, with the power of liberty that he experienced escaping to Hong Kong. And as you can see, he became one of the strongest champions of those values. And I think if anybody wants to see what it means to stand up for your beliefs, to stand up for your principles, well, that's the story of my father, a man who could have left at any point, but decided to stay, decided to sacrifice everything he has to defend his beliefs and also defend his journalists and other people campaign with him. I think it's an incredibly simple story of a stowaway who escaped China and arrived into Hong Kong and gave his life, his wealth, and his time to defend these freedoms that are so incredibly important for so many people around the world.
Can you give us more details of your father's health condition right now and how urgent is the situation? President Trump is going to meet Xi Jinping next week. If this cannot be solved soon enough, what's the situation? Tell us more details about your father right now.
My father turned 79 this year, and he's been in solitary confinement for the entirety of his imprisonment. So his health has understandably gotten much worse. Everybody knows someone around my father's age. If you put that person, be it a grandfather, a great-grandfather, in these kind of situations, well, the likelihood of survival is really not high. I mean, he's done that for 5 years. He went in with diabetes and pre-existing health conditions. Now he has heart issues. In the summer, his nails fall off, his teeth rot. He essentially bakes in his cell. I worry that one day I'm just going to get a call to tell me that something bad has happened to him, or something worse has happened to him. And but unfortunately, at his age, it's a very, very high possibility.
Thank you for giving us those details to us. And when President Trump is going to meet Xi Jinping next week, and we know that he has mentioned your father's case many times, including the Korean summit last year, so many times already. What else would you like the world to do, or other world leaders, or what you can do for your father? If the situation is so urgent, like, giving the details of your father's health conditions.
I think it's raising it at all opportunities. I wish that the other world leaders follow the leadership from President Trump, from Prime Minister Keir Starmer, from the Taoiseach Micheal Martin, and whenever they have contact with the Chinese counterparts, to raise it, to tell China that what they're doing to my father is not in their benefit. That no matter what goals China is trying to achieve going forward in the world, that this is not something that is beneficial to them. And if my father dies, then it's a long-term hindrance to their goals. And that in the end of the day, a man who has sacrificed so much for freedom and liberty and campaigned for democracy peacefully, and mind you, legally, because national security law, they have essentially rewritten the law to persecute my father. So everything that he did before was completely legal. It's just they don't. China and Hong Kong doesn't want someone like that to die in prison. And the rational thing to do, the good thing to do, would be to free him immediately.
We remember that Secretary Rubio also issued a statement for PRC to release your father due to a humanitarian reason. Do you think next week will be a moment of truth, very important?
I'm obviously in a situation like this, where my father could die at any point. I just have to keep being optimistic, because otherwise you're not able to do anything, because it's such a painful thought. I think, as I've outlined before, his life is in danger every single day that he spends in prison. So I think I really do hope that he is freed soon before later, because at some point it'll be too late.
Okay, thank you so very much again, Ms. Lai, for having this interview with us, and we wish that something gonna happen, magical gonna happen next week. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.